The three readings rule in the Illinois Constitution spells out how legislation is supposed to be proposed and read 3 separate days in each chamber before it passes, giving voters and constituents and taxpayers, let alone legislators, the ability to actually read the legislation before it takes effect. Welcome back, Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, on the road, but still with you, and you can like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. So last week we talked about the Illinois Freedom Caucus and their lawsuit against the state budget passage. And that was essentially, them saying the three readings rule is violated. It's violated all the time by majority Statehouse Democrats, and they don't like how that process plays out because it gave them very few hours to actually read the budget, read the tax increase bill, read the BIMP, the budget implementation bill. This is thousands and thousands of pages, right? And this happens every year. I've been covering the State House for 11 years now, 11 budget cycles. And it's always last minute when they drop it. And it doesn't get fully vetted. It leads to constituents being left in the dark, according to legislators. So the Freedom Caucus filed that lawsuit last week. We talked with Andrew Chesney, state senator from Freeport, and he expressed how this is just an ongoing problem that needs to have the courts step in to address it. So they filed a lawsuit. That lawsuit in Sangamon County does have a hearing set for July 3rd. It's just going to be a status hearing, really getting the parties together in the room for the first time. The lawsuit challenges House Speaker Chris Welch and Senate President Don Harmon. So that's the budget lawsuit. Despite the budget being signed on Monday by Governor J.B. Pritzker, this lawsuit's going to go forward, and the Freedom Caucus, the state of Illinois, 7 legislators, they're hoping to find the process to invalidate the budget. What that would mean for the July 1st budget start, it's a great question. I will say, listen, in the 11 years I've covered the State House, I covered that 2.5-year budget impasse during the Rauner administration where Democrat House Speaker Mike Madigan wouldn't pass a balanced budget. So, there are some kind of stopgaps that can happen if there's not a budget in place, but it would definitely throw some tumult our way, no question. But yesterday, some other Republicans at the State House filed a separate lawsuit challenging a piece of legislation they say violated the three readings rule and will make Illinois' business climate less friendly. Here is House Minority Leader Tony McCombie discussing why this is important, and they're bringing it out now.
The suit seeks to restore a constitutional process for passing legislation where we have transparency, a chance to read and understand each bill's intent, an opportunity to speak to our constituents, and then actually make an informed vote. We have long discussed with our partners, members, and constituents, filing suit on this issue even prior to me being in leadership.
So this has been an ongoing issue at the State House of the legislation being filed early in the year. Hundreds of shell bills being passed through by both Republican leaders and Democratic leaders. And they get these shell bills set up to where if they need a vehicle to pass something last minute, they can grab a shell bill, gut and replace it, and then get it through in shorter order. Senate Minority Leader John Curran, a Republican from Downers Grove, he joined McCombie yesterday in this announcement of a lawsuit challenging a state law, Senate Bill 328, that he says essentially would make the state's business climate even worse.
This bill allows lawsuits to occur in Illinois when businesses transact somewhere else with someone not in Illinois, and it having nothing to do with Illinois. A lesser known provision in this bill also allows foreign businesses to be sued here as well. This would discourage, rather than encourage, businesses to register in the state of Illinois, to do business here, and more importantly, to invest in Illinois' economy.
So the business environment in the state has long been a point of contention for business owners, for taxpayers, for Republicans, who say everything from the high property taxes to the functionality of government and the lack of transparency and the adherence to special interests, the high workers' comp costs, property taxes, high other taxes, gas taxes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But Curran says that this has to change, and this particular law should not be enacted.
President of the Illinois Manufacturers Association, Mark Denzler, said this legislation, introduced and rushed through the legislature at the behest of trial lawyers, will have a negative impact on business attraction efforts and economic development while further burdening our already underfunded and overburdened court system.
And you've got the state having been found to be a judicial hellhole in some jurisdictions. I mean, how often do you hear about Madison County and all of the asbestos litigation that there is? So what the arguments are is that this is going to open up even more frivolous litigation against businesses, not just in Illinois, even outside of Illinois. More from Leader Curran.
Should Governor Pritzker choose the special interest over the best interest of Illinois and intend to sign this law, we have stepped in. Our next step in the process is to seek a preliminary injunctive relief to stop this bill in its tracks and allow for a full review of it and its constitutionality. And if a court agrees with us that the process employed by the Democratic majority to ram this proposal through in the last minute with no transparency does in fact violate the Constitution, this bill will be voided.
And how does that impact other bills down the line that may have been a gut and replace bill, allegedly violating the 3 readings rule? I mean, the court's going to have to tackle that question ultimately whenever this and the other case from the Freedom Caucus starts moving through. Travis Weaver, a Republican from Peoria, he really spelled out how the 3 readings rule impacts the transparency of legislation, and how Senate Bill 328 is just one of a slew of measures that passed this past spring, doing a gut and replace with shell bills.
Another clear message from Illinois Democrats to any business considering a move to Illinois: you're not wanted here. Senate Bill 328 is a clear violation of the 3 readings rule. A gut and replace at the end of session passed in a way to intentionally block Illinois citizens and businesses from providing feedback on the bill's destructive nature. We know that Senate Bill 328 isn't the only time the majority party hid the ball from the people they say they represent. We found at least 24 instances where the 3 readings rule was violated this spring. Senate Bill 328 is just the worst example.
24 instances of shell bills, gut and replace, passing legislation allegedly violating the 3 readings rule. And again, this really comes down to a process that allows for transparent conversation, debate, allowing for the taxpayers to view and provide input to their representatives on how they should vote for the interests of their constituents. When it comes to the budget, that seems to be, obviously a separate lawsuit from what the Republicans talked about yesterday about Senate Bill 328. But when the budget, there's regulation in Illinois that essentially says you have to, if you're in a municipality and you're a municipal leader, you're getting ready to pass a budget, you have to have that transparent for 30 days before you can pass it. That's not the case in the State House. Obviously, as we watched, the State House regularly waits until the last minute to even reveal the budget. Same thing happens with other pieces of legislation. More from Travis Weaver.
Breaking the 3 readings rule on Senate Bill 328 is like organized crime theft. Absolutely no redeeming qualities. It's stealing for sport and self-advancement. Senate Bill 328 could have been heard in January, February, March, April, May. It could have been taken up in veto session. It could have been a 2026 item, a 2027 item, a 2028 item, or we could have never passed it. There's absolutely no excuse for breaking the 3 readings rule on Senate Bill 328. And it's time that Illinois people are made aware of the extent to which Illinois Democrats are willing to go to pass unwanted legislation.
So It's a lawsuit Republicans have filed. It's something that we'll be tracking to see how far this goes. You've got that separate lawsuit from the Freedom Caucus challenging the budget. A lot of things stacking up for us to watch over the summer. But here's State Senator Jason Plamer talking about the litigious environment in Illinois and how Senate Bill 328 could add to that.
The Metro East region is already ranked as one of the worst judicial environments in the United States. And the people of Madison County, St. Clair County, and the surrounding areas have witnessed firsthand how our well-deserved judicial reputation drives out businesses, jobs, and opportunity for the families that live there. This legislation goes against all the work that local leaders and I have done to promote our region as a great place to do business. Not waste your time and money fighting frivolous lawsuits.
So will this actually have any impact on how this measure proceeds? It's something the governor could sign, and it's something that he could veto. If he vetoes it, then maybe the lawsuit is moot. But if he signs it, the Republicans here are hoping that the courts will step in and say, listen, you can't pass legislation like this in the state of Illinois anymore. Here's Curran laying out how he feels that the courts should move on all of this.
It's an abuse of it. And certainly at a minimum, it violates the spirit of what the Constitution calls for, which is that a legislative proposal be read on 3 consecutive days in each chamber. And if it's amended in the second chamber, not the originating chamber, it must go back to the originating chamber for concurrence. This process used was a complete gut and replace. On the last day in the second chamber, completely new language, completely changing the bill, and then passing it through that second chamber, in this instance, the Senate, and back to the House for concurrence in the same day. That is a clear violation of what the Constitution calls for.
Now, there's some question as to how the courts will actually tackle this, because in the past, we had some challenges to the 3 readings rule. One very memorable is the Dan Calkins case, former state representative who, as a state rep, sued the state of Illinois over the state's gun and magazine ban. That went all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. Part of the argument in that case dealt with the 3 readings rule. And the majority on the Illinois Supreme Court sided with the state on all of that. So there's times where they have the 3 readings rule brought up as arguments against legislation, and it doesn't seem that the courts fully have addressed that issue. Maybe this is going to be the opportunity now with 2 separate cases challenging alleged violations of the 3 readings rule. Will the courts actually make something happen here? Again, here's Curran with some final thoughts.
Justice Holder White's recent dissent calling out and highlighting this abuse of the legislative process in the Calkins case. And recently Judge Bowie in his dissent also highlighted this abuse of the 3 readings rule by the General Assembly. We believe the courts are in a position now to actually end this process and restore transparency to the legislative process in the state of Illinois.
Are we actually going to see this happen? Stay tuned, because we will be watching here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Join us each and every weekday morning as we bring you the latest in the land of Lincoln. Get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. And don't forget the headlines. You can get those in your inbox each and every weekday morning by going to thecentersquare.com and clicking newsletter and sign up today. It's Illinois in Focus Daily.